Hey guys, this was audio is actually from a live stream that I did at the time of recording last night. So on the 2nd of March, 2020. Um, yeah, so the original live stream is down. Like I took it down. I wanted to have people. I wanted to do a live stream just in case anyone was actually interested in the actual debate and live. Just so I just so it's more so moderated in a sense. So if like someone like if I got a fact wrong, someone would call me out, or he got a fact wrong, someone would call him out, and vice versa. Or I thought it would be good just for people to listen from other points of views and stuff like that, and listen to it live. Just things like that. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I had. Yeah, you guys go enjoy this. This is all unedited. Well, the audio is completely unedited. The video itself, I'm more so editing very lightly. Probably just for a few points. But if you just want to listen to it in like podcast format, you want to put it into another tab, or if you're listening on mobile, you just want to, just kind of not watch it, then you're perfectly more than fine in doing that. You're not really going to be missing much by that. How you doing tonight?
You on speaker? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Whoops, give me a second.
First, because this all started out with me saying in a tweet to Geekdom that hold on, you 1 second, because I gotta look up Geekdom's tweet just so I don't say anything that's not true. Let's see. So what I told him was I don't understand how people hate the Piccolo is Gohan's dad's joke,
Mm-hmm.
because Piccolo babysits Pan. He knows her better than her own grandparents. Told Chi Chi what to cook for her and everything. And like in DB Fighters, they flat out say that Piccolo was the better grandfather. So we as a community, we as a fan base, do not make these jokes up. They write themselves within the plot of these stories.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how this all began.
Yeah, I just don't want to interrupt you, so I just want to be polite and just not interrupt you.
No, no, I'm good. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so I did read the original tweet, and I did read the thread that did correspond with it, and I did explain this to the chat beforehand. Kind of a quick synopsis of it, at least from my point of view. So yeah, your point of view can be completely different from mine, of course. But I did. But this is the part that the one I responded to is what showed up on my timeline. Was the manga, fighters, and the two Dragon Ball Super animes pictures,
Right.
and that's when it caught my attention, and that's when I reread the thread just to make sure, and that's where I did have a problem with it, and that's why exactly why I said when you use video games to justify Goku being bad dad, you already lost the argument. Now I'm sorry if you took that the wrong way, but I didn't. I don't. If you're trying to say Goku is a bad dad because of a video game said that, I don't think that's right.
Now, you do realize that that means that you've skipped all the other references that I put out, because I put out references from the anime, the manga, and the video game. So, you know,
No,
I really gave all
I've
three mediums
sorry.
as
Go ahead.
examples, and they're examples of it. I mean, I really gave all three examples within all three mediums of them making this joke, or at least them implying that, yeah, Goku's, not really the best. He's not really a good dad. Piccolo's his kind of stand-in dad, co-dad that helps him not do stupid shit.
Okay, I have a question for you, real quick, just so I can understand your position.
I'm
Do
here.
do you yourself think that Goku is a bad dad? Like
Oh yeah, yeah. I
before
think
Dragon
he's a
Ball
bad.
Super came around, like you're dredging from beginning of Z to end of Z. Like let's say Super hasn't been written yet, nothing referring to that.
Now, see, here's the thing. I
Like
know
I
when we were
will
speaking
I'm
earlier.
sorry, like I'll get to
Go ahead.
Super when that gets to it, but I kind of like want to know your position like in the original run, like this is Toriyama's 100% writing. Did you think Goku was a bad dad?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I do happen to think that Goku has done some bad father things in the Dragon Ball Z series.
Yep.
One of
I
those things.
will agree there.
Well, I mean, shoot, it only takes so many bad father things before you're a bad father. Like you can't say he did all these bad father things, but he did some good father things, so therefore he's not a bad father. Like, you're either fit to raise a child or you're not. And yeah, his alien blood does come to play when you're raising somebody who is also half alien. But at the same time, somebody like Goku is not fit to be a parent. He's fit to be a hero of Earth. He's fit to be a master martial artist. He might even be a sage one day if he meditates for long enough. But like Goku being a father, that's not really something that he was fit to do. And I saw a lot of people bringing Vegeta into the the context as well when I said that even Vegeta called him a bad father. And somebody was like, well, shit, Vegeta has no right to call anybody a bad father after the shit that he's done. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe true, but just shut up as villain. He had to develop a villain into anti-hero into, the second main character.
Hmm.
So that was progression. Like nobody denies that Vegeta did horrible things, and nobody denies that Goku is overall and ultimately a pure-hearted good person. But
Okay.
I think he's too mentally retarded, you know, and that's probably a word that's gonna get this demonetized or whatever. So I'm sorry, but
It's
I just
good. I
don't
haven't
think he's meant.
uploaded in like a few months, so like I lost monetization.
Oh well,
Oh,
yeah,
I
I don't
plan to
think
get it
that
back.
he is mentally capable of raising a child like the that it takes to be a parent. Goku doesn't have it.
Okay. And I do have to disagree with you. Even like we'll get in the Dragon Ball Super in a bit, and that's where we also differ on opinions. Give me a second. My kid's going off right now.
Hey, be a dad, don't be a Goku.
But I kind of want to just go along with the Dragon Ball Z portion of the story, and I don't have the manga in front of me right now as I don't own them. So I'm going to try to correlate the manga chapters as best I can to the episodes that I know of. Because I before this I just made sure I knew which manga chapter to correspond with each episode, so I know I am referencing the right thing. And there were
Hey, do what you gotta do.
discrepancies in my research, like Goten hugging Goku, like that wasn't in the manga, and I was like, and even though it was going to be one of my talking points, I was like, crap, I can't put that in there because it didn't show up in the manga.
Well, if you're a big enough person to admit that, then I'll also be a big enough person to admit that I did indeed believe that Goten was in the room when Goku decided to talk to the people and tell them that he was joining the Tenkaichi.
Mm.
Goten actually wasn't in the room, but still, from the evidence of that scene, I can still gather that he hadn't talked to anybody for 7 years.
Yeah, but kind of want to go down is kind of like the series timeline in general, starting from when Gohan was 4 years old, I believe, when episodes 2 to 3 with manga chapters 197 and 198, what being Gohan gets kidnapped, and I kind of just wrote quick summaries. Kind of like quick bullet points to kind of go along with it. Like Gohan getting kidnapped from Raditz, saying Goku, despite knowing he's entirely outmatched, kind of goes after Raditz, but then has to be held back, and then having the team up with his worst enemy Piccolo at the time to go even fight him, and then episode 5, I forgot to put this in here, dying for Gohan.
Well, see, here's the thing about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that anybody's forgotten about that moment,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It was one of the
And
bigger
to
points
be
that I still
fair,
had to put in here.
okay, okay, well then, I feel like that should go without saying that, yeah, he's still gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that, again, I'm not saying that Goku was a bad father in the way that Vegeta was a bad father when he
Mm-hmm.
almost let Trunks die and Trunks had to save his fucking self. I'm not saying he's that type of, fuck you type of dad.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am saying is he's the no, this is more interesting. Chi Chi has the kids; they'll be fine. He's that
Mm.
type of dad,
Mm. Okay.
with respectful, you know.
Okay. Yeah, because more of my standpoint is I'm more in the middle, but I am leaning more on Goku as a good dad. For example, like I know he's not like great. Like he is never going to be considered a great dad. But I do consider like
And
how
what,
his
and
kids respect him at the end of the day to justify like what his job was despite his limits of like what he gave to like Gohan and Goten, for example, despite having limited knowledge of limited social skills and limited parental instincts. So it's like I feel like
well,
the
saying
positive
that he has
outweighs the
limited parental
negative.
instincts, saying that he has limited parental instincts, I feel like is already enough to claim that yeah, he's not fit to be a father. If his parental if his parental instincts are limited to if they're
Okay.
conditional.
Again, yeah, that is a very valid point, and that one's like a that one can go both ways depending on your perspective of things. Again, I'm more of like, okay, he's limited because of his Saiyan blood. I feel like for what he did give and what his kid, how his kids respect him back, I feel like that does say a lot.
Now, see,
And there are
here's what
point.
I say
Oh,
about
sorry. Go
that.
ahead. Sorry, it was like cutting in and out. So I didn't
No,
realize you were
you weren't
talking.
finished. You weren't finished. You weren't finished. I'm gonna let you finish before I speak.
Okay, yeah. Like there are like other like points where I kind of just see like Goku like showing Gohan that respect where like there is that 4 years of peace. It was 4 years, right? It was 5 years, 5 years, yeah. Between
You're
Dragon
talking
Ball and
about
Dragon
which?
Ball Z, and while Gohan was born and growing up, and that's like the off-screen moments that unfortunately don't get to shine that much, and before everything starts going to shit in the show. And then Goku's constantly have either being dead, and then it's just like he's kind of limited where he's either dead or he's like can't be there because he's injured out of combat, stuff like that. Because plot convenience.
Yeah, nobody argues the plot convenience of of somebody just literally not being able to be there. I can understand that completely, but yeah, when it comes to Goku, literally just like here's what I will say about Goku, wanting to be a father or being a good dad. He
Mhm.
was written as a good he was written as a good dad in Dragon Ball GT. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
that that's that's funny, right? Because that's the one that everybody likes to shit on is the stepchild of the series. But he was written as a good dad in GT because he right at the bat his kids weren't his kids just by how they were talking. You know, he
Hmm.
was a he did the whole I got to spank my kids real quick moment. Like everybody knows and loves that moment. When Gohan and Goten tried to attack him at the same time and he just slapped him in base form. But that's not really being a good dad. That was just a fun moment. But like that moment when he was, I think it was when he was transforming into Super Saiyan 4.
Hmm.
And in his memories he was thinking about how he was on the beach and chilling, and he's like, yeah, fighting is fun, but I'm having fun now because I get to be here with y'all. And that's something that I've never heard Goku say again. you know, like it just really doesn't seem like it's within his interest to be around his family. Like for the perfect example, well, actually, you said we weren't going to Super just yet, so We'll
Actually,
stay in Dragon.
that's perfectly fine. If that gets your point across, go right for it.
No, it's we'll wait. Like I'm a man of I'm a man of sticking to the rules here. At least when it comes to if you say that the rules are this, then we're gonna abide by those rules. So
Now, as long as we're
um,
talking respectfully to each other, like that's kind of my main point of here. And again, sorry about the text beforehand. Gonna get off work, kind of a little stressed, but but
it is what. But when it comes to, let me think. Okay, so Goku leaving Goku leaving Gohan on Earth with a still villainous Vegeta was a very big risk for him. It was a very big risk for him to take.
this is for the Frieza arc going into Android arc, right?
Frieza arc, yeah, yep.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I
and
will
wait,
agree there.
before I let me complete that and wrap that up. You do know that the Frieza arc was one of the ways that Akira Toriyama himself he that there were supposed to be like I believe three or four endings
Mm-hmm.
for Dragon Ball Z. I mean,
Yeah.
so the first time it was supposed to end after Goku beat Frieza.
Mm-hmm.
Before season 4 happened and he came back in androids and all that shit, it was going to end like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, not only did he leave him there, but that was going to be the end of the story. Toriyama was set with it just being that. Like, oh, Gohan will be fine. you know, he's alive and well. Your boy needs a dad.
Yeah, I mean, with that intention of being the ending of the series, that was supposed to be like Goku was supposed to die on Namek, and then, that was supposed to happen.
Oh, well, I mean, I thought they said that it was it supposed to be a death?
I
Okay,
think so. I would have to review Konzenshu just to big double sure, because I know they have the interview on there.
I assumed it ended during the Dragon Balls thing with Gohan wearing the suit, but I could be wrong.
There was let me look it up real quick because I'm on the website right now. So
okay, and since you are doing Kazenshu stuff, I will say that I have some scans myself, and this is one from Akira Toriyama and the Dragon Ball Super completion announcement event.
mm-hmm.
And it is a Dragon Ball Super interview, but at the same time, actually no, it wasn't during the completion announcement event. I'm sorry, this was another interview. Um, it's on the Kazenshu. I literally forgot which interview it was from, but if you look it up online or Google it, you'll be able to find it pretty easy when you type in whatever words that some keywords from this. But basically, when they asked Toriyama, what is Son Goku to Toriyama Sensei, he said, at any rate, I wanted him to have the sense of being that rare guy who seeks to only become stronger than before. So much so that it feels like there's no one as pure as this person, right? So once again, I said, like, I believe he's pure. I believe he's a good person. But we continue on. And while he does end up saving everyone as a result of that, he himself at least has a very pure sincerity about wanting to become stronger. What I wanted to depict the most was the sense that he might not be a good guy at all, although he does do good things as a result.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Toriyama, straight from the mouth of Toriyama. And Masako Nozawa says, she basically agrees. I really don't. She basically agrees, to sum it up. And then Toriyama says, no, I guess I got to read her thing. She says, a strong person like this would absolutely show off that I'm strong, wouldn't they? But Goku would absolutely not come out with that, would he? I'm always saying this to everyone, but the world would be an incredibly nice place if it were full of people like Goku. Then Toriyama says, I have a feeling the world wouldn't operate very well. And he laughs. And then Nozawa laughs. So right then and there, that lets you know he's not fit to, you know what I mean? Like, the world wouldn't function very well if everybody was like Goku. I mean, he's not really fit to be a functioning person outside of fighting. But then they go on when they say, you know, how are Goku and Toriyama similar? Toriyama answers this by saying, I guess his aspect of only going places he's interested in resembles me a bit. So you can imagine all of the places that Goku has rather, the places that Goku would rather be that he's been. And you would think that, okay, maybe it's just an assumption that he just, maybe he talked to them, maybe they were okay with it, maybe this, maybe that. But at the end of the day, Goku goes wherever the hell he wants to go. You know, if it's not interested enough to him, he won't be there. Now think about, well, I guess I have to talk about Super from that point on, so I'll stop. But I want to hear your side and your comments on that.
Okay, yeah, I did find the intended endings with Frieza. Toriyama never said that. That was thought, apparently. It was just kind of a rumor that did go around that was an intended ending for that, which does make sense because in the original manga, the ending of the Frieza arc was completely, like, damn near skipped over just to go transition to the Android arc. And it was like 2 pages or something like that. It was, like, super fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I did remember it. I remembered it wrong, so good thing I looked it up just to make sure. But yeah, then that does make you definitely right on that part. Where yeah, I will agree that yeah, that was a stupid decision of Goku, a selfish decision of Goku to leave Gohan there with Vegeta, knowing that he could easily beat Vegeta.
Hold on 1 second. You breaking up. Hold on. One second.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah. Sound better?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, you sound better now.
Yeah, I was saying that you were correct. I do agree that that was a stupid decision. Even then, like even when reading that and watching that, I didn't really like that decision. Anyways, like I will. That's where I do agree with you. Goku did make a stupid, selfish decision of staying out, to control the Super Saiyan form instead of knowing that Vegeta's on Earth. Like Vegeta had no intention of being good. But it was just kind of lucky that, Vegeta was kind of obsessed with Goku at that point. So yeah, I do agree there.
Right.
And when it does come to the interview, I always have a problem with Toriyama's interviews just because it does contradict the source material. It does contradict his own writing. And that's where I always have a problem with what Toriyama says with interviews because, like, 80% of the time he speaks out of his ass.
You said 80%. What happens?
Oh, it must have been breaking in and out. Anyways, like I was saying, like in Toriyama's interviews, I have a huge problem with his interviews, just because in the series it does. Like they do say like the Elder Kai, he came from the Z Sword and he was trapped there. I think it was by the witch or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they said in the series on the spot. But then Toriyama retcons it to like, oh, Beerus did it. And I was like, well, that's not what you said.
Well, here's the thing about that. I feel that it's a plot hole, not because of the Beerus thing, because that does actually, like, he left that open because the witch isn't the one who trapped him in the sword. No, the witch is the one.
I misremembered it. Okay.
Yeah, a witch pop, like that whole thing was the fact that he told Supreme Kai that he used to be as handsome as him, but the thing that happened was a witch snuck up on him and took one of his earrings off and put it on her.
Yeah,
he thought it looked better on her, and then he ended up fusing with her, and that's why he looks old and ugly.
Yeah.
As for the sword thing, he said that a really bad guy trapped me in that sword, and then he said not as bad as Majin Buu, but still pretty bad. But that was the only information that he left as far as how he got in the sword. Now, is Beerus worse than Majin Buu?
That's up to you.
That's for a completely different thing, because he, one could argue he's just doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But yeah,
But
when it comes to like the interviews, for example, like when he does talk about like his interpretation of Goku, like that's like he didn't like write Goku to be that in the manga, because like anytime it came out to like the greater good, for example, like Goku would always, not always, but like most of the time, like choose that. There's of course times like what you said of staying away because you want to control the Super Saiyan, and leaving Vegeta live. There's like stuff like that, but then there's also stuff like bringing like Upa's father back to life. Like Goku didn't have to do that. Like he didn't have to risk losing his 4-star ball to bring Upa's father back, even though like that wasn't his fault.
right,
Like it was just like things like
right,
that. Like he chose the right decision to do. And it's just like when you're telling people like, yeah, Goku like it's kind of selfish, like if Goku was selfish, he wouldn't have done that. And
now
even
see,
like
that's
the first arc where it's like the turtle where he like carried it all the way back to the ocean, like Goku didn't have to do that at all. He had nothing to gain from it. He just did it. He was taught to do good things.
yeah, and I'll agree that Goku was written differently in his childhood, but he still did things like pull Bulma's panties down or pat girls on the vagina to see if they were girls. Like that, those aren't inherently bad things to do. But at the same time, those things don't make you, being that ignorant makes you not fit to be a parent. You know what I mean? And Goku does not really show that many signs of maturity throughout the series. Like he showed signs of maturity in GT, but he does show some signs of maturity in Z. He does, but they're very greatly overshadowed by the fact that we know he's what he basically does is improvise until he gets it right, and then the Earth is saved. Everything up until that point, like yeah, he'll support his friends, he'll do something nice for somebody because he's pure hearted. He just feels like nice things need to happen to people, regardless. But none of those things, like even the whole well Goku's actually not a hero thing, like because that whole Goku's not a hero thing.
But like when Goku was stuck in the hospital and Gohan yells at Chi Chi, even though he probably shouldn't have done that, to be honest, because he's like 5 years old. But Goku did show like a respect for Gohan. He was like, man, you've gotten so strong when I was away. Like, and even then, like, Goku did train with Gohan for 3 years. And then like when the androids did finally show up, despite Gohan being stronger than most of that group, besides like Goku and Piccolo, it was before Vegeta showed up, he did send Gohan away to go tend to Yajirobe instead of being in the line of fire. And then, of course, there's the other big moments like, Goku takes Gohan in the room and the room of spirited time, and then and then Goku choosing to have faith in Gohan, which again, that one's more of like, how do you see the the glass half full or half empty kind of deal, where it's like, yeah,
Well,
you did point
but
the
one,
tweet, like, yeah, he didn't understand Gohan, but I would argue that like, hey, like he knew Gohan was the strongest. He's just like he wasn't there enough. And most of it wasn't because it was his fault to understand that Gohan isn't a fighter. Like, yeah, he wanted to train with you, Goku, but he isn't a fighter. And, like, yeah, you did ultimately have faith in him. And, Goku did make it up when Gohan messed up and he sacrificed himself for it. He said, like, tell Chi-Chi I'm sorry. I always did selfish things. And I just want to... And then he just kind of said goodbye. And then even then, after he was
true,
dead,
and
to make sure
he
the
did
fight was
make up
done.
for it.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying he made up for that mistake, sure, but to make a mistake like that, to send your son somewhere that he's like, okay, "Oh, do you not know your own son? What the hell's wrong with you?" And then he went into and realized it, and then asked somebody to give him a senzu bean, which implies that, if he went all out, it would have actually made a difference. He just wanted Gohan to, you know what I mean? But it's
Sorry, you say that again. You said it's implied, and then it cut out right there.
this.
All right, you're good.
I can't hear you. You broke up if you talking.
Oh yeah, sorry. It cut out on you when it said like when you were saying that implied, and then it kind of like cut out right there.
Saying is that it was implied heavily when Goku said, "You know what? Give me the sensu
Mm-hmm.
bean." That implied that who actually did stand a chance. Because
I'll let you go on, but I do have something to say to that
if
though.
he didn't stand a chance, he would have tried to argue that against Piccolo. If Goku something, he's gonna stick to it, right? And he kept telling Piccolo, "Oh, just wait." And then Piccolo's like, "Bro, mentally he's not there. He's not you." And for one, for Goku to not know that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but Gohan, while he was explaining to Cell what was going on, like imagine the guy's dad letting him do that. Like, Gohan's like, "I already know what's going on. Like, you're gonna push me to that limit. Like, I know that when my rage gets, when my rage gets too out of control, bad things happen." And Goku didn't even realize, he wasn't even smart enough to realize what Cell realized. He's like, "Okay, fine. I'm fucking you up. This is not working. I'm gonna fuck up the people you love." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Goku fucking him up was eventually gonna make him mad enough to break the limits. But as Piccolo said, that's not how.
Of course, and like how my mindset is like, if it ends up being good in the end, you better make sure that goal that you have has to happen. Like no matter what, like whatever it takes. Like if someone the the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and that's how I've always been. And that's kind of like how I've always interpreted that scene. And I'm sorry, like to get on like the more, I mean, not really feel, but it's just more of like my perspective on that scene, for example. But it is nice to hear another person's perspective on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like how I kind of perceived that scene was Goku has always been like, as long as it takes, like if Gohan has to reach that point, like I know he's gonna reach that point, he's gonna do it. Like we're gonna be okay. But he just didn't think it through. Like, what if he never reaches that point? Which again, that I will agree with you. That was a bad move. Where like, yeah, you didn't know your son enough. Like, what are you doing? Like, what if he
And
doesn't reach that point?
had Gohan never explained that to Cell, Cell would have just killed Gohan.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah and
You,
no. I think it. Yeah and no, because I kind of Gohan has always been like, hey man, if you push him like enough, like I think it kind of kind of like in the Saiyan arc, for example, where like Piccolo kind of just threw him out a cliff and he kind of just destroyed destroyed the hill.
you talking about when he threw him at the mountain?
Yeah, when he threw him out, he kind of like
Yeah,
destroyed the whole part. Like he
that's
didn't have to like hurt anyone else. He just kind of had to
really
hurt
been
Gohan. It was just more
proactive
of Gohan at
like
that
that in the
point.
face of danger.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe like it really depends. Like it really depends how that scene would have played. There are problems with all of them.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why I did not treat the whole Dragon Ball Z is, Dragon Ball GT as canon thing, like I didn't even try to go there with that, is because Akira Toriyama himself actually said,
Yeah,
that
I know it. I know it.
Dragon Ball GT is a grand side story. You
Hmm.
know, it's not really
Yeah, and like
it.
again, I'm not trying to go step on the toes of Toriyama, but I'm not saying what is canon and what is not canon. Like at this point, I'm more of the wavelength of am I going from the Dragon Ball manga to Dragon Ball Super anime, or am I going to the Dragon Ball manga to the Dragon Ball Super manga, or am I going from the animes Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball GT or Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super anime? It's so intertwined at this point just because Toriyama in modern days just works from the outline, so it's really hard to tell.
Now, see, that's not even true. He's not only just doing the outline, and nobody's ever actually said that on document. That he just does the outlines. Like he writes out the stories. He writes out. Here's the thing. He writes out the stories, right? But it's not the complete stories. At least when it comes to Super, or yeah, at least when it comes to Super, right?
Yeah,
But
it's like a screenplay.
he's basically he needs a co-writer for I guess, because he's old now. But just because he has co-writers does not make that medium or that project any less canon. Because when it comes to Dragon Ball Super, they always make sure to mention that Akira Toriyama is writing it, but they also don't go so far as to say, oh well, he's writing the whole thing or anything like that. But he's in an interview. He's talking about how. Oh, and he does say Dragon Ball Super is a complete continuation of the Majin Buu story arc.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's completely than what he said about you know, about what he said about GT, which he called just a grand side story that you should enjoy. Now he said with his own, like, Dragon Ball Super is a complete continuation of the Majin Buu story arc. Now that makes it canon, undoubtedly. You get what I'm saying? He said it's complete continuation. So whether or not you want to use the manga or the anime or argue over which one is canon or all of that stuff, like that doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that there are moments in both the manga where he was a bad dad. In the manga, he's a bad dad because he's like, shit, Vegeta, but why'd you come back? You know what I mean? Or not even that, but basically he's asking what the hell does Vegeta being on Earth, what does Bulma giving birth have to do with Vegeta? And he says, I mean, I had no idea when Gohan or Goten were born. And he said, like, think about that. He had no idea when they were even born. And there was 5 years of peace between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So, like, he wasn't even there for Gohan's birth. You know what I mean? Like, and that was during a time of peace. And Vegeta tells him, you might be a bad guy after all. At least as a father, you're the worst. So that right there is undeniable proof. And then you go to the anime, and he loses Pan. And Piccolo is yelling at him like, how in the hell could you lose Pan? What the hell is going on with that? Now, if you don't want to bring up the Dragon Ball Fighters thing, that's fine. You know, like, it is what it is. Like, it's not canon, but it doesn't take away from the initial fact of what I said earlier. Like, it's not like the fan base is just creating these jokes out of nowhere. Like, the jokes write themselves.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I say something? Because while you're on that, because I think that it's kind of more of a mini talking point, but I do think it can bring a good discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you did mention fighters and the thing is, and kind of how this kind of relates to like the Dragon Ball Super anime, for example, because it does make me think about video games. And well, and this the thing, like I kind of want to see your standpoint on this too, is that yes, you said that, you know, Dragon Ball Super, because Toriyama did have involvement in it, and he has gone on an interview saying it is a continuation of the Buu saga, and Toriyama himself has also gone on record going out for the justifying for the new game, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, of the stories that were put in that were written by him as well.
But he didn't call Dragon Ball Z Kakarot a complete continuation of the story. Like, he never implied that Kakarot was connected to the main universe at all. He never said that. He did say that he was, he worked on some things, but he worked on some things in GT too. Like, even in the GT thing, where he says, it's a grand side story. Like, in that same interview, he goes, well, for GT, all I did, he says that all he did was just come up with the title design, the initial main cast, and some of the machines, and also do a few images. However, I was able to rest easy, handing things over to the excellent staff who had continued Dragon Ball for all this time. See what I mean? Like, that's a completely different. That's not at all what he describes Super to be. It's pretty clear in his implications and in his explanations that Super is, canon, whereas things like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot would need that same type of those same type of words to be spoken about it to believe that it's supposed to be taken as an information the same way Super is.
Well, because I only say that just because in Toriyama's quote exactly, I'll paraphrase it because it is a very long quote, but I'll just paraphrase it instead. He was saying like it is, it's an action RPG with full of the Dragon Ball universe, and it includes backstories that have never been told in the manga, and that's kind of like a part I kind of want to zone in there. But he was saying like, I'm sure fans will truly appreciate the deep dive into the world. It's like it's a fresh new take on the franchise as you relive the moment Goku discovers his bloodline and stuff like that, and then the rest of it's obviously like,
no,
let's hype up the game.
The line that killed that was he basically admitted to it being an alternate universe by him saying it's a fresh new take on the Dragon Ball universe.
A fresh new take on the franchise. Okay, now I see what you're talking about now. Well, just because I kind of wanted to do that because, like, yeah, he does have involvement in there, and like he did write, stories that were in there, and like even though he didn't say that directly himself, on all the promotional items, like Bandai kept toting that, oh, Toriyama wrote stories in here, and it's like that makes them canon, right? And the whole fandom going off saying like, now this whole new story's canon now, and it's just.
Yeah, the fandom going off saying that the story is canon now is like, honestly, you got to take what you can serious and what you can't not serious, because people will argue, this is canon all day long, but Akira Toriyama, like, people like to say that Akira Toriyama was a part of their stuff. Like, it's just how stuff works when it comes to stuff like that. People love to say, hey, Akira Toriyama on this, Akira Toriyama had a part in this, because that's what gets people hyped to go see it, even if it's still not canon. For example, I believe he drew Broly, back in the day. Not the new Broly. He probably drew him too, but if I remember correctly, he drew Broly.
Yeah, he made the initial design for Broly, and then Yamamuro, the anime's character designer, redid it for the anime.
Yeah, but at no point did anybody ever believe that Broly was canon. It's just that, it was nice to, like, if you hear that Akira Toriyama worked on a Dragon Ball side story, you know that it's going to be competent and not some bullshit. You know what I mean? You know that people are going to show up because it's not going to be Dragon Ball Evolution, so to speak. That's
Yeah,
why
but he
they do
also
that.
did Dragon Ball Minus, and that was a steaming pile.
I actually like Dragon Ball Minus.
Huh?
Now,
Really?
nobody likes what the hell happened to Bardock, right? Nobody likes that Bardock wasn't a warrior the way he was. The way he was implied to be in the Frieza saga. But
My more problem with it is more so of like how like it was rewritten to have more of a parallel to Superman instead of Goku having kind of his own thing, and that's more so my problem with it. Bardock is more like a nitpick for me, where it's like I can believe that his heart was changed because of Gine, but it's more of Goku's backstory being changed is what bothered me.
Goku's backstory being changed, well, I mean, I guess that's another subject altogether, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Dragon Ball Minus being a piece of shit, like we just kind of gotta agree to disagree on that. That'll be a
Yeah,
whole nother video.
yeah, that's a whole other
Um,
thing.
like
But
I
I
I
did
like
bring up
Minus.
Kakarot, but I did bring up Kakarot just to kind of go on this thing of I kind of want to see your position of like how much of Toriyama's involvement is something can you justify as canon. That's kind of I want to see where you stand
Involvement
on
doesn't
that.
equal involvement doesn't equal canon. For example, for example, one of the main Deadpool writers and creators, Rob Liefeld, is the co-creator of Deadpool, if not the most influential writer and artist behind Deadpool. Period. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, he eventually got a chance to work on the movie, right? So now it's the person who is working, person who's doing most of the Deadpool comics is on to the movie. But that doesn't make the movie canon just because the same author worked on an alternate universe. Like it's already been established that it is an alternate universe. Like they have to either release it within the same continuity of and I don't want to just say the same continuity, right? Because I feel like you got different definitions of the word. So what I will say about it is like the reason that Dragon Ball Super is canon is because Toriyama basically said so.
Okay,
He says this complete continuation of
now
the
we're
Majin Buu.
going in the Dragon Ball Super. Now the manga and anime are written way differently. So, but
Yeah.
Toriyama has worked on both. But yes, he has had more involvement in the manga because Toei is kind of strict in how they write things, and that's its own other thing. But and plus, they were
Well, I
having
mean,
production
people say
problems.
that how
But yeah,
Toei
he
really
has
right.
had more involvement in the manga. But you kind of have to decide like which one's canon then, because they
Did
are
you
written way differently.
did you not see like Toei does have strict writing rules and things like that, but when Toriyama gets mad and puts his foot down, they got to listen to him,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I know,
And
like
he got pissed that they were rewriting his shit because they rewrote Battle of the Gods and then they rewrote fucking Revival of Frieza too. And he admitted that he was angry with them for doing that, and then he came in to thoroughly help write the I believe the Future Trunks arc. Like he came in to like really pay a close amount of attention to that. Like I'm not saying he wrote it all, but he was looking over their shoulders during that shit.
mhm. But
So
again, this is actually a good one right here because now that you brought up the Future Trunks arc, yeah, we'll bring it back to Goku being a bad father and everything in a little bit. But this is like now we're getting the Dragon Ball Super. I just want to make sure that we're on the same wavelength, so we're not talking about two different things while we're doing that. But yeah, the Future Trunks arc is a perfect example of two stories written way differently, but they have like the same points they hit, but their way of getting to those points are way different.
oh yeah, definitely. But here's the thing about this, and like I know that this is going to turn into, Toyotaro's art and Toyotaro's story versus Toei's story, and which one's better, so which ones matter, because they're both basically written differently. Which one do we accept as canon? honestly, like that was something that I was trying to not get into earlier on Twitter, and that was why I just said, instead of just picking one, I'm gonna post one from both mediums. So no matter which one you decide is the most canon or whatever, like they both have a moment.
Yeah, like I
But
understand where you're coming from, but the problem with that I find is that you can't choose both because people are going to lean toward one or the other either way. You know what I mean? Where if you're going to
in
post one,
both
people are going to say,
instances,
"Why are
they
you
have
posting the?" If people like the manga better, people are going to be like, "Why are you posting the anime?" Like this is
but
Toriyama worked on the manga more with Toyotaro, or why are you posting Toyotaro's? His was supposed to be a promotional, not to the anime. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get
yeah,
static from
see,
both
but
fans.
that's rhetoric to me. That's irrelevant to me as far as I'm concerned, because like the object of the game wasn't to, you know, please people with their favorite canon version of what's going on. Like what I was aiming to do was express that it's not like the people, the fans of Dragon Ball are just saying, Piccolo is Gohan's dad because we think it's funny and we have no context for it. You get what I'm saying? Jokes like these, implications like these, moments like these are in the mediums everywhere you look. Whether it be in the manga, whether it be in the anime, whether it be in the video games, whether it be in the movie verse, they all have those moments where it's just like, wow, how did this guy become a dad? Like, oh my God, he's a parent.
Mm-hmm.
They all have those moments. So for
Okay.
somebody to say, well, I don't like this one and this one doesn't matter. Okay, well, you have these other three to pick from.
Okay.
Like,
Now,
you
now
can't
I'm
have
really starting
all
to
of
see
them.
where you're coming from. Okay.
Yeah. Like, if you don't like one, that's fine. Throw it away. You got more. Like, at the point, if you're arguing against me, is to prove that it's not true. And I just gave you proof that it's true in literally every single medium that it has, as far as game, anime, manga goes. I didn't do movie, but still, like,
Yeah, I'm going away from the movies, but yeah.
yeah. But that was the point, to show people, like, yeah. And then when people started nitpicking, like, oh, that one doesn't count. Okay, but the other ones do. Like, no matter what you do, if you break down my argument as hard as you can't make all of them not count. One of them has to be canon to you.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I never meant to imply that all of your arguments didn't count. Like, yeah, I never thought that Goku was like perfect in any way. Like he never did anything bad. But I do think there are in context a lot of reasons of why he couldn't be there as much as he could.
never denied that.
Yeah. That was kind of more of my standpoint on that issue, where it does get out of control of people saying Piccolo is a good dad, even though he only literally just trained him for 6 months and left him out in the wild for 6 months.
Well, he didn't leave him, actually.
Oh, yeah, he was watching over him, but like he still kidnapped the
And he
kid
didn't give
and
him a sword. I don't know if that part's probably not canon. The giving him a sword part.
he did. He did.
But
It was not the whole training arc with Gohan. That was all filler. But there was panels where he actually was wearing like the Goku suit with the sword.
okay, so yeah, Piccolo was watching over him. Like, he wanted him to be tough, but he never gave Gohan more than he could handle. And that was the skill of a good sensei. And then he started doing things, you know, more competent fatherly things for and with Gohan. I'm not even gonna say two. Like, we're not gonna do that shit. But fatherly things for and with Gohan that Goku, as a person, couldn't even comprehend or conceive or think to do.
Well,
You get
that's
what I'm saying?
kind of where I kind of differ. Like when it comes to like Piccolo, for example, like he again like Piccolo's even limited on his parental views too. Like he's just some at the time he knew he was a demon, but like he didn't want to raise
Right
that
at the
kid. He
time.
just kind of like had to
Look
use
at
him. You know,
wait,
he
wait.
God.
You talking about you said that he was gonna use Gohan against Goku or something like that?
No, 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 no.
You wrote
He was saying that I was saying that he was just kind of using Gohan just to get the Saiyan, just defeat the Saiyans, and then he was just gonna. He was like, well, fuck, like I might be raising my next enemy. Like I might be training my next enemy, shit like that.
yeah, and he meant that. And then when that happened, the whole Gohan holding Piccolo in such high regard, the whole wanting to wear his outfit instead of Goku's. But I mean, we can get in. I feel like that's getting into the rhetoric area though. What we headed towards. But as far as Goku being a good dad, or Piccolo being Gohan's real dad, I feel like enough has happened in this series to where people shouldn't even be mad about the jokes, because the jokes basically write them fucking selves over half the time.
Yeah, I can agree there. Where I can understand where the jokes come from. But whether they're funny or not, that's very subjective. I mean, for me, like after hearing the same joke for over 10 years, it kind of gets old. But if people still find it funny, that's them. I'm not gonna tell them no, don't laugh.
I mean, hey, my brother just sent me one of them draw 25 memes and shit. And I was on the floor. The thing that is Gohan or draw 25, and you see Goku with 25 cards. Bro, I was on the floor.
It was like it was. I think I've seen that one. It was like the one with Goku from the Resurrection F poster, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he had like that serious face.
But like, come on, like even in TFS's version of the Broly movie, oh my god, and I know that this is 100% not canon, but this is the parody that people say arguably did better than the anime, which I believe is foolishness, right? But
yeah.
We keep going. This is the parody that people literally outright compare to the anime. There are people out here who say, "Oh, I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z, but I watched the bridge, so it's the same thing. It still counts."
Oh God.
Yeah, there are people out there who say that shit. So because of that, they could at least be given credit for capturing the heart of the characters that they were making fun of.
Yeah,
and when I tell you,
the director Kaiser Neko, he said he kind of regrets those jokes because it kind of got oversaturated.
which ones?
The Goku Bad Dad ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I forgot. I know he said it in a few videos, and I know he said it on. I know he says it on Twitter occasionally. But if you go follow him, he says it every once in a while, where people might tag him in something, and he was just like, he's like, I don't like this.
Man, their Broly movie had me on the floor when Piccolo came in to rescue Gohan, and he's like, "Gohan, did you get some breakfast? Did you get enough to eat? Did you get into that school you were supposed to get into?"
No.
Because Goku didn't give a fuck about that school. Goku didn't give a fuck about that school.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something Piccolo would probably care about. He's like, "Did you get to that school you were supposed to get to?" Gohan's like, "What do you think?" No. I'm honestly for a good Piccolo as Gohan's dad joke, and like pretty much any day. But it's got to be a good one though. It can't just be
the same thing over and over.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
I know.
Because one person said, "Get the fuck up out of here before I charge you some child support." I think Daquan Wilshire said that when he was reviewing that episode, and that didn't make me laugh, but everything else that dude says makes me laugh. But shit, that one didn't, because it was still Piccolo's Gohan's dad joke.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, I guess, not it. This pretty much, we done pretty much got went around full circle and made our points and said we had to say, right? Unless you had something else to say.
No, I gotta say, in conclusion, I do kind of lean a little bit more toward your side more, even though I still ultimately do disagree with you. I do understand more of your points a lot better, and I'm really glad we had this discussion over it.
You know what? Me too, because I expect you to be disrespectful and you were not. So, you know, good talk.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta go tend to my
Peace.
child.
Peace, man.
All right, see you later.